All right, so what's going on, everybody? Welcome to 2024. This will be my first video, I don't know, in a little while. So today, my wife actually introduced me to the idea of a magician talking about tarot cards. The thing about tarot cards and what I actually enjoy about them is the artwork. A lot of the artwork is very significant of the themes and stuff like that, and something I'm actually really used to when it comes to playing cards. So when I say what I'm used to in playing cards, I mean this. I'm actually used to things like this, right? This, and then when it comes to higher end, bigger artwork, it's these, right? Things of that nature. So like obviously, just like tarot cards, they range in prices, right? You can buy $5 decks, $10 decks, all the way up to $100, $200 decks, and it really depends on what you want to get out of it. I guess in terms of playing cards. But in terms of tarot cards, I'm not actually quite sure. So today I really want to delve into this idea. So again, we're not going to talk about what tarot cards mean, the meaning behind it, all that stuff. What I really want to talk about is mostly comes down to quality, things of that nature. Okay, so first of all, I told her to maybe hook me up with 3 decks that you would find in any tarot, any place you would buy tarot cards. Even at the bookstore, you can buy tarot cards these days. And I really wanted her to give me different tiers of the playing cards that we would expect to find, right? So the lowest tier, the high, middle tier, and the highest tier, right? Which I think we've kind of found today. So in terms of the lowest tier, we're going with this guy. This right here is actually a reproduction and I guess a counterfeit version of what's known as the Rider-Waite tarot deck. So I'm not quite sure where this was printed, but I can tell you right now, just from the look of it, the tuck box itself, very, I don't know if cheap is the word for it, but when it comes to like cheap decks in terms of playing cards, even the cheapest decks have very kind of what you would expect. It's actually a harder, more cardboardish tuck. It's just better design and construction. Whereas, of course, tarot decks are also bigger. They're much bigger. They're going to be what you would expect as like the bridge version of cards, but extended in size. So these are much bigger, longer. They're roughly about the same or almost similar in width, right? But that's what you expect. This is regular playing cards, and these are the tarot decks right here. So let's get into it. So the artwork is just a basic print. You can tell that the box came with this very it has like the bubble shine bokeh kind of glimmer look to it, but you can tell that everything that was printed on it was printed after the fact. So the box came like that. Yeah. If you notice, like the print is actually on the tuck flaps. But let's get into the deck itself. So it does, most decks that I've seen that my wife gets all come with a way to read the tarot deck, the meanings behind the pictures and all that stuff. Since I don't know that much about tarot or witchcraft, things like that, I'm not going to try to disrespect their meanings and things like that. But I don't know how much this deck costed. I'll ask my my partner, and then she can let me know. And I'll probably just put it right up here or right up here. As to the value of the decks. Now, automatically what I'm seeing here is, yeah, these are like plastic coated. That, first of all, these are like, I think she said these are like 72 cards per deck, not like what I'm used to, which is like between 54 and 56. This one fans not too badly. It's very clumpy though. What you expect from more like, I guess, like knockoff brand or like cheaper dollar store type brands. Overall, the back design for this one is actually really cool. I like the idea of it. The printing of it, you can tell it's kind of off center. Yeah, it is a little bit off center, which isn't a big deal, but that usually comes with mass printing. The borders are all pretty good, and you can tell though this is a thicker stock, and it has I can't tell if it was traditionally or modern cut. I think more likely a modern cut because this comes out of like a more modern printing factory, most likely. Yeah, on further inspection, it's for a really cheaper deck. This isn't bad for like as well as a reproduction, though. I will say the prints on them alone, like again, really cool imagery. It fits the theme of what you would expect from what would be known as a Rider Waite deck. Yeah, but I don't particularly. It looks like hand drawn, but it's not really my style, obviously. When it comes to this kind of artwork, it looks like it's just kind of copy and printed on a computer and then printed as such, right? So if you look at also like the bordering is a little inconsistent side to side, top and bottom. Yes, which means fast printing. And overall, the imagery is still pretty good. But again, when it comes to a deck like this, I wouldn't have expected much. But then again, also, if this is a reproduction or a what would be known as like a counterfeit or something like that, that's kind of printed not from the actual creator, I wouldn't expect too much in terms of that. But as an overall, I'm going to give this deck maybe like a 3 out of 10. I think there could be a lot more quality features about it that really bring out its everything about it. But at the same time, I don't expect much. You know what I'm saying? So this being the lowest tier of tarot deck, this would be great for people that are just beginning, obviously, right? At the end of the day, whatever you can practice on is always a good thing to get in your hands and then get yourself situated with the niche and the things that you want to do with this. All right, so yeah, overall, not bad, not great, but it did come with the extras that you would expect, so you can't hold that against them. At least they are trying. The other issue I have here is that the way it sits in the tuck case, you can tell it's not very situated, very flimsy overall, but yeah, 3 out of 10. Next up is the actual Rider Waite tarot deck, right? So this right here is kind of what my wife let me know is what you would expect in every single or almost every single practicing or even not expert level, but more inclined, more experienced tarot readers as well. So this is kind of what I expected from if you take a look at it, like I mean the difference between the tuck and Rider Waite Smith tarot deck, what you expect from a deck of quality of what every tarot reader would use. This is up there, right? So first impressions right now in terms of a tarot deck. Also, when I think medium or like middle of the road, kind of exactly what everyone uses, I use things like these right here, or these, or any spectrum of these, really, right? These are kind of like the pinnacle of what you can buy for relatively cheap, but still higher quality. The handling on them is really, really good, and you won't get bogged down with like the details of them being a lower quality deck, especially when it comes to magic and card handling and stuff like that. I really require things like this. And also today, just so everyone knows, I'm really playing with mostly the decks that I know I use on a daily, or especially when I go out and gig with them. So things like anything printed by the USPCC or Bicycle brand playing cards, or anything by brands like Cardamundi. Okay, they're technically the same brand, but they are two different printing companies. Okay, so back to the Rider Waite deck. Overall, this is printed by a proper person in Italy. You can tell the tuck case itself is actually a little bit more quality. It's thicker cardboard stock, and again, when you pop it out, you have all of these fantastic. You have your book that you need to help you read your deck, as well as. Oh yeah, I love that. Also, what I did notice is like you see this level of springiness, like that's kind of what I expect when it comes to a deck. Look at that fan. Like, that's amazing. The other one fanned a little bit clumpier. It still did fan, but it didn't do as good a job as I love. And look at the size of that fan. It's really smooth. Again, this is like a plastic coating, but the deck itself, like the cards themselves, are thinner. They're much more agile. You obviously can't do any magic tricks with them. At least the ones that I do, I can't do on this deck just because of the size. But I'm loving the back design just because I love things like Argyle, things like that lumberjack patterning like I'm wearing today. Yeah, beautiful. And you can also tell like it's relatively centered. This is a one-way back overall, because you can tell with certain features that make it shine. And here we go. So take a look at that. So colors and spectrum overall and registry, the borderings are all very accurate. The cut and the print is very good. The full color spectrum is fantastic. And honestly, when I go to like say a tarot reading, or if I was to expect a tarot reading from my partner, this really is it. This is it for me, because even in movies, even on TV, this is kind of the spectrum of cards that I see on the table, and it's what I expect from a reputable brand, someone that prints affordable but practicable cards, things that people can practice on and overall be a beginner with, right? And what I love about this is like the color, the art, the overall hand-drawn design, very spectacular, very beautiful, classic in its own right. And at the same time, that paired with a very good handling deck, because again, one of the bigger things when it comes to decks like this is that what I notice a lot of tarot readers do is that when they mix up their deck, they mix it up in a way that's like this, right? You're doing basically what we in the magic industry know as a Hindu shuffle or an overhand shuffle, okay? And when I try to handle it like this deck is a much thicker deck. It makes so like to do anything like springs or even like riffle shuffles, you can see how well that shuffles or how well that springs, right? And if I do a cascade, right, you can see that it really connects. It really does a great job in terms of being really consistent overall. I have no complaints when it comes to that, and I love it because again, for comparison, that tuck case, everything slips in really, really nicely. Yeah, I have no complaints over that. And for comparison, the reason I say handleability is so important to people like me, as well as artwork, as a card collector, I really want to make sure that decks really fall into line with the things that we love that allow us to play with it, right? So when I think of right, look at the fan. When I think of accessibility and ability when it comes to these cards, I love things like the artwork, right? This is a Gears deck, right? But this is also a deck made by USPCC, so it allows for much. This is also with the, I believe, the air cushion finish, right? It has the G300, G315 paper, or 310. That's it. It's a G310 paper with the black core on the inside. And what I love about it is that the slipability and like the thinness and the access to the deck allows for me to be able to conduct myself as a magician. So if I wanted to, right, put down cards, right, you can still see that that's there, right? Blank joker, right there, right? And then I can just literally just deal it down to the table as I would and not have any issues whatsoever, because at the end of the day, I can still control and maintain the deck as I would like to, as well as, so this is USPCC, and for comparison, this is the King Slayer deck, Zebra Edition. You can still see really great artwork, mostly hand-drawn kind of aesthetics, really gorgeous overalls, right? Small intricate details in the pips, as well as the face cards. Our main focuses are things like jokers and additive cards as well, right? And what I love about this is, again, if you look at the back design, right, overall very nice, and it's very thin. So this is also based on the, I believe, it's what's known as the true linen finish. with Cardamundi. And what I love about it is that at the end of the day, it still slips like you would expect all of the Cardamundi decks to handle, right? Queen of Hearts like there, right? And again, that stays up on top, right? So overall, this is kind of my standard for what I expect out of reasonably handling playing cards, okay? And again, I'm not touching on anything to do with Witchcraft, but I do believe that a great deck makes for a great performance, or as well as when it comes to tarot, it makes for an easier reading. It makes for a more fluid reading, as well as you're not fumbling with small little details, like trying to mix it up correctly, try to have a good even mix, and really showcase that once it's mixed, your readings are more random and more how do I put it? It's just more magical when it comes to the reading itself, because then the spectator is not seeing that it is just one way being drawn. There's not clumps of cards, stuff like that, which I really enjoy. So now we're past the Rider-Waite Smith deck. We are going to get into this bad boy right here, which in my opinion, and speaking with my partner Shannon, this to me is the pinnacle of what I love about the future going forward in terms of tarot decks, right? There's also another couple artists. One I will mention is Stockholm 17. That's Lorenzo. He does amazing handmade and professionally printed decks on things like Cardamundi or with the USPCC. He's a fucking powerhouse when it comes to the card releasing and card design scene. And this right here is what I expect for a much higher end deck. This is everything that I love about what could be when it comes to higher end tarot decks as well. Automatically you can see that it's a much better, much more intricate and higher, it's not the cheapest tuck case, but it's a higher quality tuck case, and that's really important in terms of the things I wanted to be achieved, right? And I love that, right? Right, you can tell it's very thick stock, very well constructed, and the booklet that comes with it, right? It's overall very simple design for both the tuck case and the back design of the deck itself. But the reason I say it's simple is because what you get in the end is really what matters, okay? And by that I mean they chose, whoever the creator of this is, let me take a look. The creator of this deck is Pixel Occult, designed in Portland, Oregon, made in China, and this is a 5th edition. No, and props to y'all, because you guys went ahead and chose some of the best I've seen in terms of the release. Overall, you can tell they chose an insanely nice cardstock, right? The fan on them is extremely clean, right? And what I loved most when I saw it, first of all, the back design, extremely simple, right? Centered design, right? It's not a one-way deck. You can tell the printing as well is completely centered. The border lines are looking really, really good. This is very close to what you would know as a GSM 310 cardstock, right? Overall, it's what do you call it? The flex on it and the rubberiness, gorgeous, very smooth. Again, it is for this one particularly, it is a plastic coated deck, but you know what? At the end of the day, that doesn't matter, because where they really spent the money is the colors, the gorgeous design overall for the deck, right? It matches the theme. The theme itself is the neon moon. This is a very cyberpunk kind of aesthetic, right? Yeah, overall, the imagery is all there. It's very, very futuristic. The color spectrum is gorgeous. And as well, if you look at the border lining, it's perfect. Yeah, I'm not seeing any like huge, large offset spacing, stuff like that. And this is kind of what I expect from a genuine printer and a genuine creator who's also interested both in tarot, but at the same time interested and cares about the product. Right, and this to me is important when it comes to releasing decks like this. But the thing that really set me off was that this is actually the second purchase of this deck, right? Because the real reason that I am a huge fan of this creator, as well as now as well as now a huge fan of this deck, is primarily because of this. This guy right here. This is a New Moon 5th edition mini tarot deck. And what I love about it is that if you look at relevance in size, right? It's almost exactly the right length of the tarot deck versus the playing cards, as well as it's slightly thinner. So it's almost more like the bridge size width of playing cards. And what I love about it too is that, again, it is, I believe, 72 cards, right? The tuck case alone, right? It's loose and flimsy, just like I would expect from these, because they chose a card stock or a cardboard stock that fits exactly the same way. And you can tell they just spent money on a higher quality product. And then this right here, gorgeous. My God, it handles exactly like I would expect a deck to come from a brand like Cartamundi. Oh my God, it's spongy, right? And as well, they didn't skimp on the quality of the images and color. Those are just gorgeous, right? These are just a beautiful, beautiful thing. But again, if you were to look closely, right, you can still see, I don't know if this will pick up, yeah. You can still see that they have the micro threading of their card print, and to me, this means everything. This is floppy, it's dexterous. This is as close as you can get to both the linen finish and the air cushion finish from USPCC or Cartamundi. This is gorgeous, it handles like a dream, and to be honest with you, I can still, it handles in a way that allows me to be able to predictably handle this deck, both respectively and with a lot of control, right? Overall, I give this deck right here, I definitely give a solid 7 out of 10, just because it is middle of the road. 7 out of 10 strikes me as fair. This right here, as well as this guy right here, both get a 9 out of 10, right? The only thing that would exceed that is, again, brands like Lautrec or I don't know, anything to come from, say, if like the Gentleman Wake was to put out a deck, or if Lorenzo from Stockholm 17 put out one himself, which in my opinion would be the cream of the crop, 10 out of 10, no problems, not even any questions. But yes, overall, this is the perfect, and again, I don't know anything about tarot. I don't know if size in the cards means anything technically, but I know that the imagery is there, the theme is there, and that these fall into the category of things that I truly love as a deck handler and deck collector. So overall, I think we covered a few of the ideas in terms of other cards that can be collected or consumed or appreciated within the card collecting community, because again, I collect a lot of cards, like a lot of cards, you know what I'm saying? Like I collect them, right? And that list doesn't stop, right? And I have at least maybe 200 or 400 more than that alone, just out and about in this room. And what I think is important is to understand there is other creators out there that are doing amazing work on the medium to higher end scale. And that to me is really, really interesting. So thank you again. If you guys have any questions or any comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. And again, please hit that subscribe and the notification bell, because I'm going to be trying to release everything that I can for the next year and re-up this channel. So again, thank you very much. I'm your man, John, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.